Training to failure has been called the ultimate test of intensity, the sign that you're really giving everything in the gym. But what if I tell you that this obsession with failure is the biggest mistake in bodybuilding? In this video, I will show you what training to failure really does to your body, why it doesn't guarantee muscle growth, and how to train with real intensity that build muscle without burning you out. I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I competed 46 times, won 17 titles. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years, and I train over 3,000 clients and help them to get in the best shape of their lives. I also publish 10 ebooks, which are all available on my website, nashfreetraining.com. So very easy to access. Just click on the link in the comments and you can enjoy the benefits of these ebooks, which are overloaded with detailed information about muscle growth and fat loss. So let's dive into the problem now. In order to understand why training to failure is such a trap, we need to go back to the basics, and we need to understand what actually drives muscle growth. It is absolutely not about collapsing on the floor, screaming, showing off that you are really doing something very, very intense and, just pretending to be doing some extraordinary training session. It is more about delivering enough high intensity that your muscle can adapt to and then grow. The problem is that once you push that point of effective stimulus and get into failure, the cost skyrockets while the benefit barely increases. So there are many lifters who get stuck in this realm of super high intensity, and simply they are confusing exhaustion with progress. Now, let me tell you a few words about the myth of failure training. So when we talk about failure, there are two different types of failure that we need to understand. First one is technical failure. Technical failure means that when you are performing a particular set, let's say biceps curls, and you do 10 reps in good form with good pace, and you cannot go any further, you have reached technical failure. So now you have to do something else. You have to cheat, you have to use your hips, your back, shoulders, everything else just to lift those weights. So you have actually passed that, reached the technical failure, and you are doing something else. Now, there is something called absolute failure. An absolute failure is when you really cannot move, you cannot do anything else. Basically, you can't even do those cheat reps, those throwing the weights and, dropping them down. You can't even do that. So basically, you can't move at all. So this is just to highlight that dogma of if you don't go to failure, you are leaving gaze on the table. Now, there are very important three areas that I want to address when it comes to failure. And we're going to start with the first one. There are three of them. So please watch the video until the end, because at the end you will understand everything about failure, what it does to you, how far, how close to failure you should go, and how can you benefit from everything that I'm just about to say to you. So the number one area that I want to address is that regarding going to failure in every set is stimulus to fatigue ratio. So you need to understand that the stimulus is what causes muscle growth. So this is how much useful training effect you get from a session. So this is stimulus. Now, fatigue is a systemic cost of your training, meaning not only muscle damage, but also joint stress, central nervous system stress and fatigue, and also recovery demands. So I've just explained to you what stimulus is and what fatigue is. So the most important thing regarding these two issues is to find that sweet spot, to apply enough stimulus, but not to get into the point that you are systemically fatigued. meaning that you simply cannot recover the whole system from your stimulus. So if your stimulus was very, very high and it was wrong in many ways, which I'm going to explain now, that means that your systemic recovery won't be possible. So you won't be able to recover. Forget about growth. If you can't recover, you're not going to grow. So every next session will actually be harder and harder for you, and you will actually just start going down. You will shrink, you will lose strength, you will basically knock on the door of injuries. So what it means in practice, for example, when we talk about high stimulus to fatigue ratio, the positive one, let's take, for example, barbell squats. So if you have a moderate load, so weight that you can, let's say, do 12 good reps, stimulating your quads and your glutes, but not killing yourself, not ending the set, unable to breathe, unable to stand up, unable to walk for next 5, 6, 10 minutes or similar, then you're in the good stimulus to fatigue ratio. If you do, for example, bench press, this is the same thing. If you do it properly, if you do proper reps, proper pace, enough reps, close to failure, you will be hitting your chest and your shoulders up to the point, and you will be able to recover from that type of set so you can do another one. So although the stimulus is great, okay, your fatigue is low. So you're not fatiguing your central nervous system. You're not fatiguing your joints, tendons, and also you're not hitting that recovery hard unnecessarily. Now, when it comes to low stimulus to fatigue ratio, or the negative one, the best example for that is deadlifts. So if you do deadlift from the floor, for example, the stimulus, the shock on the whole system is great without targeting any particular muscle. So you're basically entering the state of fatigue very quickly. So you are fatiguing your system, the whole system, without hitting and causing any particular benefit of any muscle group. The same applies, for example, to force reps and bad form, because this is what creates high fatigue and very little growth, because the ratio between the stimulus and fatigue will be low. So you're not going to benefit, because you're going to be struggling to recover your whole system. Your systemic recovery will be slow and difficult. You don't want to go there. So also that applies to very super heavy weights with very low reps or singles, exactly. So this is extreme stress to the body, very low stimulus for growth, because you need certain amount of reps and also certain amount of sets in good form in order to cause growth. But when you perform these super heavy singles, so 2 or 3 reps, you will just cause the huge systemic stress without causing particular stimulus for any muscle group. So how do we need to apply this in practical terms? So you need the weights. You need to pick up the weights that will allow you to perform enough reps, let's say 8 to 12 for your upper body muscles, and also 12 to 20, let's say, for your quads. And you need to use good form. That means that you're going very close, or sometimes all the way to failure, but not ruining the form. Now, when it comes to volume and intensity, you should push close to failure. This is the golden rule. This is what will keep you in that high ratio between stimulus and fatigue. So you come, let's say, 2 reps shy of failure. Obviously, this is very difficult to express generally. What is failure for you may not be failure for me, but you need to develop that feeling, that instinct that that you're coming close to failure. It's going to be just another rep and that not more. So you should stop 2 reps for general population when it comes to the set, and that will allow you to still bring very high level of stimulus, but not to increase the fatigue. Now, when it comes to progression, if your recovery feels wrecked and gains are minimal, you your stimulus to fatigue ratio is very low. So you need to adjust your exercise, your load, and volume. Now, the key takeaway from this first area of exploring the importance of failure is that you need to focus on consistent progression, meaning you will be doing more reps eventually, and then obviously you're going to be increasing the weight as overload over time. You need to have a good recovery, so no joint pain, no stress central nervous system, and also there will be you need to have an ability to repeat hard sessions without burning out. So, for example, I train 5 times per week. I train every muscle separate, and every time I go to the gym, I am fresh, I'm willing, I'm motivated, I can't wait to hit the weights. And this is how you should feel. You should not walk into the gym being exhausted from the previous session, or maybe exhausted from previous 2 or 3 sessions. I mean, you're just turning into a robot who is performing something for no reason, obviously being overtrained, or having whole systemic fatigue very high. Now, when I talk about recovery, this is the second area which is very important to understand when it comes to failure. I want to explain to you what that recovery, what is central nervous system fatigue. We talk about recovery, we talk about joints and tendons. So when you push beyond your recovery limit, so let's say loads of force reps, or loads of singles, or endless failure, or all these cheating methods, or whatever else is there, that will really hit hard the whole system, your central nervous system gets overstimulated. And the symptoms are low motivation, you're feeling wired, but you're tired, poor coordination, you may have headaches as well, and results will be that even though your muscles could do more, your nervous system won't let them fire efficiently. So harder you push into your central nervous system and joint stress, the more recovery resources your body burns. So energy, hormones, sleep quality, immune response, all get tied up into a repair mode. So you're basically constantly repairing yourself. You need to be completely recovered, repaired in order to grow, but you're constantly repairing your central nervous system. So that means that there will be less energy for muscle growth because there is more energy needed for repair. And instead of progressing every week, you will hit the plateau because your body simply cannot keep up. So also you need to understand that muscles recover much faster than your joints and your tendons. So heavy negatives, force reps, cheating, too much of junk volume simply overloads tendons and ligaments much more than muscles. Because what it means when you reach technical failure, when you cannot do biceps curls, for example, in proper form, that means that your biceps can't perform anymore. Now, if the sign is stop, so if somebody else helps you to do more, clearly it's not going to be your muscle doing that, it's going to be that particular partner of yours who is going to be doing that for you, training partner. But that will stress more your connective tissues, more your tendons and ligaments than your biceps or any other muscle. So you have to be aware of that. Once you reach positive failure, you have to stop because you cannot perform anymore. The body, the nature are very clear there. All these other techniques, they're absolute show. Some people can do them, but when I speak to you, to all of you, to the whole world, I'm not talking about few people in the world. I'm talking about a general audience. So some people may benefit from that. But even though some people who were professional bodybuilders, very knowledgeable, very experienced, very motivated, with a team of trainers and doctors and sponsors, if you want, even they did terrible mistakes by rupturing their tendons. Not one, not two, dozens of them. Just look in the history of bodybuilding, especially from 19s onwards, when this super heavy, high-intensity training method took off, and see what happened. Torn biceps everywhere, chest, patella, tensor fascial latae, quadriceps, triceps, back muscles, torn everywhere, ligaments ruptured. You shouldn't be going there, because in the past, people never did that. Arnold never tore any muscle, Serge Nubret never tore any muscle, Sergio Oliva never tore any muscle, and all these other guys up till 90s didn't suffer from those injuries because of the insane dogma of super high intensity and going to failure in every set, in every session. Now, the number 3 area that I want you to pay attention to is the quality volume across the session drops if you go to failure in every set. So volume means sets, reps, and weight. So all these 3 factors are volume. So quality volume means that you're using the weight that can allow you to do right number of reps, which I talked about. You can see the video, perfect rep range. And also right amount of sets. Another video that I did for you, the perfect set range. And the quality volume means that you are doing all of this and you're going close to failure, or maybe to failure. So some of you who are more advanced, yes, you can go to failure, but I would advise you to do that with the last set of the exercise, not in every set, and maybe not even in every exercise, so you go to failure. But even if you don't go to failure, you're more experienced, stop 1 rep short of failure. If you're intermediate, stop 2 reps short of failure. If you're novice or beginner, 3 reps short of failure. You will still stimulate muscle growth enormously, but you are going to be safe long term. So quality volume means that you basically perform something in the range of reps and form that will cause stimulation of the growth. Junk volume is everything that you do after that. So if you employ all these techniques, like for example force reps or cheating reps, you will be hitting junk volume. But the junk volume is not a joke. It's a serious burden on your tendons, on your ligaments, and also the stress on your central nervous system and systemic fatigue. So you don't want this junk volume. So if you are going constantly into all-out sets to failure, you are going to end up doing your session with a lot of junk reps, junk volume. So I'm going to give you an example, for example. So what it means to do high quality reps. If you do, let's say, 4 sets of 10 reps with 100 kgs, all these 40 reps will hit your quads and glutes in the right way. But low quality will be if you continue beyond failure. So you do 10 reps, for example, in a set. You can't do proper all the way down, all the way up squat. And you start doing half reps. You go halfway down. Then your form starts deteriorating. You're losing balance. You're leaning forward too much. You're only doing half reps. So basically what you're doing, you are doing junk volume, because those reps are not good for you. They are going to stress you more. They are not stressing your muscle, but rather your tendons and joints, because now you're fighting to survive the failure, which already happened. And also, you are overstressing your whole system. You are just begging for an injury. So this is junk volume. You don't want to do that. So I think these 3 areas that I just mentioned to you, they're critically important. And let me just remind you. The first one was a question of ratio, stimulus to fatigue ratio. Now the second one was CNS, central nervous system fatigue. And the third one was quality volume across your session. So how intensity really drives growth? So there are three key factors there. I mentioned them, but I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more on them. So first factor is reps in reserve. So basically, the gold standard practice is that you stop before failure 1 to 3 reps. You're still causing very high mechanical tension on the muscles, but it's recoverable. Now, this is what supermodern science knows, and we know nowadays this is exactly how it is. It's measured many, many times. But we also know that people in the past, let's say in 70s and 80s, train exactly like that. Many of you guys are asking me, how is that possible that you do 25 sets? That means that none of them is all out. None of them is to failure. So what if it's not to failure? If you do 25 sets for chest or back, 1 or 2 reps shy of failure, come back to me and talk to me what happens after. Next day, 2 days later, 3 days later, how sore you're going to be. So why would you go to failure? Because if you go to failure, you will never hit that required number of sets as I recommend, which is 20 to 25 for upper body muscles, for example. You will end up doing 10 or 12 in super intense. But then I explain to you what is going to happen. You're just going to reach that systemic fatigue, which will stop your growth. And you will constantly be in a repair state, in recovery. So you will never grow. And this is where most of the people happen to be. They grow a little bit and then they stop. And I see them in the gyms all the time. They're the same. They never change. There is no change year after year after year. I see so many of them, even competitive bodybuilders. They just come the same. 6-7 years later, they're competing with the same weight, most of the time worse shape, because they're just getting exhausted, less motivated. They don't progress. One of the reasons for that is that they are not hitting right volume, meaning right number of sets and the right number of reps, because they're obsessed with that failure, stigma, dogma, whatever you want. And they are hitting that every set, all out, all out, all out. And they end up in the constant recovery state. So then second factor is progressive overload. Progressive overload is absolutely necessary, and that will come with time. So whatever weights you use in order to, let's say you do bench press with 80 kgs and you're performing recommended number of reps and try to do X amount of sets. But then the day arrives that you can do 15, 18, 20 reps bench press. You don't need that many reps. So clearly the weight has become light. So you increase a little bit, maybe for 5% or maybe less. Doesn't matter. Just increase and try to stay in that range between 12 and 8. So if you keep the same weight, you hit the first set 12, then the second whatever, and you go down. Once you drop under 8, this is your last set. That may be in 3 sets, in 4 sets, in 6 sets, doesn't matter. It's relative, it's individual. But once you do the first set with particular weight and you cross that 12, you do 13, 15, 16, clearly the weight has become light. So next time you increase the weight. But you must not do this all the time in order to hit your personal best, or in order to hit 3 reps, but I'm benching 3 plates each side. But yeah, you can do whatever you want. But how do you look? Did you progress? What happened in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years? Did you change? Can you look at your photos? Did you monitor that? Nothing happens. You just become stronger. But strength is something completely different. I'm only interested in muscle growth and fat loss. And this is what I talk all the time. So the third factor is stimulus to fatigue ratio, which I explain in detail. Productive intensity is the one that maximizes growth stimulus while minimizing unnecessary fatigue. So these 3 factors, reps in reserve, progressive overload, and stimulus to fatigue ratio, are the 3 key factors that will give you maximum growth. So if we look, for example, how we can think of different muscle groups as well, and how close to failure we should go. So when we talk about quads, back and chest, these are muscle groups that you should, because of the systemic fatigue, you should go close to failure. I wouldn't advise you to go often to failure, or some of you who are more advanced can go sometimes to failure, but not more than 1 set per exercise, and usually the last set. So quads, back, and chest, stay 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. Now, when it comes to biceps, triceps, delts, because these are safe to hit to failure more often because they are smaller muscles, so they cause less systemic fatigue. So remember that. The big muscles create a lot of systemic fatigue, so you don't want to go to failure in every set or beyond failure, force reps, cheating, or other techniques, but you have to be close to failure. With the smaller muscles, because they don't hit your systemic exhaustion as hard, recovery, you can go more often to failure. Now, when it comes to exercises, compound lifts, they should be sub-failure. So in compound lifts like squats, bench press, bent over rows, and similar, you should stay shy of failure. Again, 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. Maybe you go once or twice per session, but not in every session. But generally, compound lifts you will benefit more in sub-failure sets. Now, in isolation lifts, it's safe to push to failure because isolation lifts have less impact on your systemic fatigue. When it comes to mental state of intensity, the true intensity is not just screaming, dropping weights, or putting on a show. It's about focus, it's about control and execution. Everything that I said, everything that I mentioned so many times about effective number of reps and sets, they have to be perfect. You have to be 100% focused. You need to be focused on the muscle. You have to have that great mind-muscle connection. If you are there just in order to show that you can put 10 plates each side and perform some creepy few reps on leg press, screaming all the way, wrapping up your knees, and then theatrically flying on the floor and unwrapping, 2 guys are helping you to take your wraps off the knees. It's all fake. It's all not just fake. It's ridiculous. It's sad. It's pathetic. It's obviously nothing else but, complex of inferiority at its best. So don't do it. And also it's dangerous because you can get injured. I've seen people, I've heard, maybe some of you also did, but you can hear when the tendon ruptures. It just goes bang. So I've heard it many times. I've seen people collapsing under 3-4 plates on the squat rack, and then we used to call ambulance to come and take care of them, etc., etc. This nonsense is happening all the time. I'm just trying to keep you safe and healthy and help you to build muscle and burn fat. So this is why I'm giving you this advice. So when it comes to mental side of intensity, I'm just saying is again, you don't confuse acting intense and training intensely. So you have to be focused. You need to be, everything needs to be under control, and your form has to be perfect. So, guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, that you have learned what a real workout should be for you, for maximum benefit and a minimum risk. And if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel. Also like the video, share the video, send me your comments. I'll try to answer most of them, although it's difficult nowadays because there are a lot of them, so I'm just trying my best. And once again, let me remind you that on my website, nashfittraining.com, you can find many services that I provide. You can see in the video as well that in which I explain all about my services, so check that video. And again, there are 10 ebooks for you. This is the first step that I can help you through ebooks. And then also I do personalized training programs, nutritional programs, coaching online, and for people in London, I do one-to-one personal training. So I believe that we can work together, and if you go on my video, you I explain everything and I show you how I can help you get bigger and leaner as fast as possible. So guys, until the next video, I wish you all the best.